My older brother, Leo, is missing. 6 weeks ago, he started a cross-country drive, a classic American road trip, to clear his head before starting a new job. He was supposed to end up in Portland. He never made it. His last GPS ping, his last text to me, his last sign of life, all came from a single point on the map. A tiny, forgotten town in the middle of nowhere, called Harmony Creek. For weeks, we heard nothing. The local police were useless, almost hostile. They kept saying he probably just wandered off. But their eyes told a different story. They looked haunted. Last week, a state trooper found his car abandoned on a dusty service road just outside the town limits. The doors were unlocked, his wallet and phone were on the seat, but Leo was gone. The only thing of value we recovered was his dashcam. We plugged it in last night, hoping for a clue, a lead, anything. The daytime footage is exactly what you'd expect. Hours of open road, bad singing to the radio, Leo narrating the scenery. It's the last file, the one that starts right after sunset on the outskirts of Harmony Creek, that changed everything. It's why the local cops won't look us in the eye. It's why I'm uploading this now, because the police won't help us. And after you see what I saw, you'll understand why. They aren't just unhelpful, they're terrified. Leo was always the brave one. He was the guy who climbed the tallest trees, who explored abandoned buildings, who laughed in the face of ghost stories. He was a skeptic, grounded in logic and reason. When he decided to drive from Florida to Oregon, none of us were worried. It was just another adventure for Leo. He'd call every night, describing dusty diners and beautiful sunsets. His voice was full of life. The last time I spoke to him, he was about to pass through a town he'd found on an old paper map, a shortcut called Harmony Creek. "Looks quaint," he'd said, laughing. "Probably has one gas station and a whole lot of weird lawn ornaments." That was the last I ever heard from him. When he didn't check in for 2 days, we filed a missing persons report. The response from the Harmony Creek Sheriff's Department was chillingly indifferent. They took our details with a sigh, their platitudes about people needing to get away sometimes, feeling rehearsed and hollow. My parents and I drove out there. The town was just as Leo described, quaint, picture perfect with manicured lawns and smiling residents. But the smiles were wrong. They were too wide, too fixed. The people would watch us from their porches, their heads tracking our car in perfect unison. When we asked about Leo, showing his picture, every single person gave us the same vacant stare and the same answer. Never seen him. They were lying. You could feel it in the air, a thick, cloying wrongness that clung to the town like humidity. The discovery of his car confirmed our fears. It was pristine, untouched except for a fine layer of dust. His half-eaten bag of chips was still on the passenger seat. But the dash cam, that was the only thing that felt out of place. It was still running, its memory card full. The final file is 2 hours long. 2 hours of footage that starts with a beautiful sunset and ends in absolute, suffocating terror. What you are about to hear is my narration of that final recording. I need you to listen. I need you to bear witness. Because I know my brother didn't just wander off. He was taken. The final recording begins with the timestamp 7:13 p.m., The sun is a brilliant, bleeding orange, casting long, distorted shadows across the road. Leo is driving slowly, his beat-up sedan rolling past a weathered wooden sign that reads, "Welcome to Harmony Creek, the friendliest town you'll ever see." Leo chuckles. The audio picks up his voice, clear and relaxed.
Friendliest town you'll ever see, huh? We'll see about that. Kinda looks like every other town I've ever seen. He's not wrong. The camera pans across a main street straight out of a postcard. There are charming storefronts with striped awnings, a small town square with a gazebo, and tidy houses with white picket fences. But as he drives deeper, the idyllic scene begins to subtly unravel. The camera captures a woman watering her petunias. She doesn't blink, not once, for the entire 30 seconds she's in frame. Further down, a group of children are playing in a yard, but they're not running or shouting. They're standing in a perfect circle, their backs to the street, their heads bowed, as if in prayer. Leo doesn't seem to notice, or if he does, he doesn't comment. He's focused on finding a place to park for the night. "All right, Harmony Creek, let's see what you've got for accommodations," he mutters, pulling over to the side of a quiet, tree-lined residential street. The houses are dark, not a single light on in any window despite the encroaching dusk. It's eerily quiet. The usual sounds of a small town, dogs barking, distant traffic, televisions, are completely absent. The only sound is the car's engine and the soft rustle of leaves. He kills the engine. The silence that follows is immediate and profound. "Guess I'll just catch a few hours here," he says to himself, his voice sounding small in the sudden stillness. "Recharge the old batteries." He reclines his seat, and the dashcam's view shifts slightly, now aimed more towards the darkening sky and the canopy of oak trees above. For about 20 minutes, the footage is still. The sky fades from orange to a deep, bruised purple. The streetlights flicker on one by one, casting pools of sickly yellow light onto the empty pavement. Then, the first oddity. In the upper left corner of the windshield, a shadow detaches itself from the branch of a tree. It's not an animal or a falling leaf. It's humanoid, impossibly long and thin, and it moves with a fluid, unnatural grace, melting back into the deeper shadows between the houses. The camera, with its limited dynamic range, barely registers it, but it's there, a silent, fleeting shape against the twilight. Leo is breathing softly, probably dozing. He has no idea that the town is beginning to wake up around him. The golden hour is over. The welcoming is about to begin. The timestamp reads 9:47 p.m. The world outside the car is pitch black, save for the lonely streetlights. The interior of the car is a cocoon of silence. Leo is asleep, his soft snores barely audible over the camera's low hum. Then a new sound begins. Tap. A single, soft tap on the roof of the car, directly above the driver's seat. It sounds like an acorn falling. Leo stirs but doesn't wake. A minute passes. Tap, tap, tap. This time it's more deliberate. A clear, rhythmic pattern. Leo's snoring stops. The audio picks up the sounds of him shifting in his seat. "Just a branch," he mumbles, his voice thick with sleep. He settles back down. But the tapping doesn't stop. It grows more insistent, spreading across the roof. It's no longer random. It sounds like dozens of fingernails drumming lightly on the metal, a skittering, rain-like patter that has no natural source. Leo is fully awake now. What the hell? he whispers. His breathing is quickening. The dashcam, fixed forward, shows nothing but the empty street. But the car's reflective surfaces tell a different story. In the polished curve of the hood, a warped reflection of a figure appears. It's standing by the streetlight. A tall, slender silhouette that seems to drink the light around it. It's perfectly still. Then another appears on the other side of the street, and another. They emerge from the shadows between houses, from behind trees, stepping into the weak light with a slow, deliberate purpose. They don't look like normal people. Their limbs are too long, their movements jerky and puppet-like. They begin to move, not towards the car, but around it, maintaining a wide perimeter. They walk in a slow, synchronized circle, their feet making no sound on the pavement. The only noise is the incessant, maddening tapping on the roof. "Okay, this isn't funny," Leo says, his voice trembling. He fumbles for the ignition key. The camera records the jingle of keys, the click as he inserts it. He turns it. The engine chokes, sputters, and dies. He tries again. Nothing. A choked gasp escapes him. The tapping on the roof stops. All at once. The sudden, absolute silence is a physical blow. It's more terrifying than the noise it replaced. Leo is frozen, his breath held tight in his chest. The figures outside have also stopped moving. They all stand facing the car, a silent, waiting semicircle. For a full minute, nothing happens. The only movement is the slow drift of a leaf across the empty street. Leo slowly reaches for his phone on the passenger seat. As his fingers touch the screen, a new sound breaks the silence. A sharp, loud rap on the driver's side window, right next to his head. Leo screams, a short, sharp cry of pure terror, and recoils violently, slamming against the passenger door. Leo's ragged breathing fills the car's small cabin. He's pressed against the passenger side, staring at the driver window where the sharp knock originated. The dashcam can't see what's there directly, but its wide lens captures a distorted reflection in the driver's side mirror. Standing there, impossibly close, is a man, or something that looks like one. He's older, dressed in a simple, dated suit, but it's his face that defies all reason. His eyes are two pits of shadow, devoid of any light or reflection, and his mouth is stretched into a smile that is anatomically wrong. It's too wide, pulling the corners of his lips up towards his ears, showing too many teeth that are just a little too sharp. The smile is fixed, unmoving, a painted-on rictus of pure malevolence. He doesn't move. He doesn't breathe. He just stands there, smiling that terrible, predatory smile. "Who are you? What do you want?" Leo's voice is a choked whisper. The smiling man doesn't answer. His expression doesn't change. He simply raises a long, pale hand and taps the glass again, once. The sound is like a gunshot in the suffocating silence. Leo flinches so hard the whole car rocks slightly. "Get away from my car!" he yells, his voice cracking with a mixture of fear and bravado. "I'm calling the cops!" He snatches his phone, his thumb swiping frantically at the screen. The screen is black. He presses the power button. Nothing. The phone is dead, though he'd charged it just hours before. A low, desperate sob escapes him. He looks back at the window. The smiling man is still there. But now, he's not alone. In the reflection of the windshield, more faces appear. They press themselves against the glass of the rear and passenger windows. Men, women, even children. And every single one of them is smiling the same wide, unnatural, hungry smile. Their eyes are all the same, dark, empty, and fixed on Leo. They don't try to open the doors or break the glass. They just watch him, Their collective gaze is a physical wake. The car, his shelter, has become a glass cage, an exhibit for the silent, smiling inhabitants of Harmony Creek. The air in the car feels thin, cold.
The audio picks up a new sound, faint at first but growing, a low humming whisper. It seems to come from all around, a multi-tonal drone that vibrates in the chest. It's the sound of voices, hundreds of them, all whispering the same unintelligible words in unison. Leo claps his hands over his ears, shaking his head. No, 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 he chants, rocking back and forth in his seat. The smiling man outside the window slowly tilts his head, his neck seeming to bend at an odd angle. His smile, if it's even possible, widens further, a black crescent in the pale moonlight. The whispering is everywhere now. It's no longer just outside the car, it's inside, seeping through the vents, emanating from the speakers. It's a dry, sibilant sound, like autumn leaves skittering across pavement, but layered with a chorus of voices. The words are alien, yet the intent behind them is unmistakable. It is a sound of summoning, of ritual. Leo is in a full-blown panic, his back pressed against the door, his eyes darting to every window, each one filled with a smiling, vacant face. The faces are so close to the glass that their breath fogs the surface in rhythmic, unnatural puffs. Then, the car's electronics flicker to life. The dashboard illuminates, every warning light flashing in a chaotic, random pattern. The radio clicks on not to a station but to a torrent of static that seems to pulse in time with the whispers. The GPS screen, which had been dark, flares with a blinding white light. When the light subsides, it displays a map of Harmony Creek. But it's wrong. The map is a distorted, pulsating lattice of streets that twist into impossible, Escher-like configurations. Street names appear and disappear in a garbled script. Sorrow Lane, The Harvest Path, Flesh Market Avenue. A single red dot labeled U pulses in the center of a place marked the Homecoming Ground. This isn't real, Leo whimpers, his voice barely audible over the growing cacophony. The whispers are getting louder, more distinct. He can almost make out words, or at least sounds that are shaped like words. They slither into his ears, promising release, promising community, promising peace. They call his name. Leo. The sound comes from the car's own speakers, a drawn-out, synthesized hiss that is a grotesque parody of his name. The figures outside begin to move. They sway in unison, a slow, hypnotic dance. Their smiling faces are tilted up towards the sky, as if greeting an unseen moon. The tapping on the roof returns, but now it's a slow, heavy, deliberate beat, like a funeral drum. Boom, boom, boom. The entire car vibrates with each impact. Leo, driven by pure adrenaline, makes one last desperate attempt to escape. He throws his weight against the driver's side door, pushing with all his might. It doesn't budge. It feels like it's been welded shut. He tries to handle, yanking it again and again. Nothing. He pounds on the glass, his fists thudding against the window, just inches from the smiling man's face. The man doesn't even blink. He just watches, his dark eyes seeming to absorb Leo's terror, feeding on it. The drumming on the roof stops. The whispers crescendo into a single, deafening roar. And then, in the sudden, ringing silence that follows, a sound that is worse than all the others. A soft, metallic click. It's the sound of the passenger side door lock disengaging. Time seems to slow down. The click of the lock hangs in the air, an audible punctuation mark between Leo's life and whatever comes next. His head snaps towards the passenger door. He stares at the lock, a small, simple piece of plastic now representing the complete and utter failure of his sanctuary. For a few seconds, nothing happens. The smiling faces at the windows remained perfectly still, their expressions of manic glee unchanged. The silence is absolute. Even Leo's breathing has stopped. Then the passenger door begins to swing open. It moves slowly, deliberately, without anyone visibly touching it, pushed by an unseen force. It opens with a low, mournful creak that cuts through the silence. As the door swings wide, the car's interior light flickers on, illuminating the scene in stark, unforgiving detail. The light spills out onto the street, revealing the crowd for the first time without the distortion of glass. There are dozens of them, maybe more. People of all ages, all dressed in simple, slightly old-fashioned clothes. They formed a silent, expectant corridor leading from the car door into the darkness between two of the houses. And every single one of them is smiling that same horrifying, jaw-stretching smile. Standing right by the open door, framed by the night, is the smiling man. He is no longer just a reflection. He is real, solid, and terrifyingly present. He leans forward slightly, his body moving with a stiff formality, and extends a pale, long-fingered hand into the car. It is a clear, unmistakable gesture of invitation. The whispers return, but they are different now. They are no longer a chaotic mess. They have coalesced into a single, unified voice, a chorus of male and female tones speaking in perfect, chilling unison. The voice comes from all around, yet it seems to originate from the smiling man's unmoving lips. "It is time, Leo," the chorus whispers. "The town is hungry. The harvest is here. It's time for the homecoming." Leo lets out a sound that is not quite a scream, but a raw, guttural moan of ultimate despair. He scrambles backward, trying to push himself deeper into the driver's seat, as if he could somehow merge with the upholstery. "No," he pleads, his voice a pathetic shred. "Please, no. Just let me go. Please." The smiling man's head tilts again, a gesture of mock sympathy. His smile seems to crack the skin of his face. The chorus speaks again, its tone soft, almost gentle, which makes it all the more monstrous. "You were never going to leave. No one ever leaves Harmony Creek. We are all family here. And you are our newest brother. Come, join the celebration." From the dash cam's perspective, we see a dark shape lunge into the car from the open passenger side. It's not the smiling man. It's something else, faster, less distinct. Long, thin arms like bundles of sticks wrapped in pale skin reach for Leo. They grab his shirt, his arms, his legs. Leo's screams finally erupt, raw and animalistic as he is pulled, kicking and struggling out of his seat. The camera's view becomes a chaotic blur. It lurches violently as Rio was dragged from the driver's seat. The world outside the windshield tilts and spins, a dizzying kaleidoscope of sickly yellow streetlights, the dark silhouettes of the houses, and the sea of wide, ecstatic smiles. The audio is a nightmare. Leo's screams are high and piercing, filled with a terror so complete it feels physical. Beneath his screams is the joyous, whispering chant of the townsfolk, their alien words rising in pitch and tempo. And underneath it all is a new sound, a high-frequency ringing that drills into your ears, the sound of a nervous system overloading.
The camera is knocked from its mount. It tumbles down, hitting the dashboard and then the floor, the lens now pointing upward at the empty driver's seat and the headliner of the car. We can't see what's happening outside anymore. We can only hear it. We hear the sound of a struggle, the frantic scuffing of shoes on asphalt, the tearing of fabric. Leo's screams become muffled, as if a hand has been clamped over his mouth. The whispering chorus swells into his sound like a joyous hymn. The sounds begin to recede, moving away from the car. The struggle is being taken down the street into the darkness between the houses, towards the place the GPS called the homecoming. For a moment, there is near silence again, just the faint, distant echo of the chanting and the high-pitched ringing.
The interior of the car is dark, the only light coming from the still open passenger door. Then a shadow falls over the camera. A figure leans back into the car. We only see them from the chest down, the same dated suit as the smiling man. A pale hand reaches out and pulls the passenger door shut. The door closes with a solid, final thud. The interior light goes out, plunging the camera's view into near total darkness. The last vestiges of the distant chanting fade away completely. The ringing in the audio stops. All that is left is a dead, suffocating silence. The camera sits on the floor, recording nothing but the dark, empty car. Seconds stretch into an eternity. Then one last sound. A voice, a dry whisper, spoken directly into the dashcam's microphone. So close, it's as if the speaker is lying on the floor with it. It's a single, clear, sibilant phrase. You're one of us now. The recording file corrupts. The screen cuts to pure hissing static for 3 seconds, and then the file ends. The timestamp shows 11:59 p.m. That's it. That's the last thing my brother ever recorded. He's out there somewhere, in that town. Or he's part of it. I don't know, which is worse. Have you ever driven through a small town that felt wrong? A place where the smiles didn't quite reach the eyes and the silence felt too heavy? Share your unnerving road trip stories in the comments below. Every town has its secrets, and maybe, just maybe, you've passed through your own Harmony Creek.
Leo vanished in Harmony Creek, and the wind hasn't moved since. If you want to help uncover the next story, subscribe to